Hi everybody, we're back, and yeah, we're back. All sorts of hardware issues. Is this camera kind of pointing at the right thing over here? Ha 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 ha. Good to see you. Thanks for dropping in, Zephyr. So yeah, let's see. I skipped to the weekend because I was like too preoccupied with like useful things, and now it's time to get back on this thing. Hey, hey, Russ. You didn't miss anything. Yet. Awesome. How's your wheelwriter getting on? I saw you've got enormous progress on your digital thing. Yeah. I have very little agenda today, other than the first thing is this horrible gunky thing has been on my mind, and I have to replace it with a beautiful, less gunky, straight off of the manufacturing plant version of this. These are absolutely essential, and anytime I see somebody with a Teletype, just turn it on. I worry, did you switch the hammer yet? And so today I'm going to switch the hammer, because this one, it's not too terrible, but it's taken a bit of a beating. And can I get it in focus? It's like, can I aim at the right direction? There it is. Took a bit of a beating, and I switched it around. Yeah, I rotated it a few times to play on better parts of the hammer. It's not really beaten up. I mean, it's still like, yeah, it's still functional. Could be way worse. But since I have a whole bag of these things, that they somebody whose name completely escapes me, somebody in Florida has made a bunch of these, and they slot right in here, and so it's time. I'm going to put the camera back. But fiddling with it is a little tricky. Meanwhile, other exciting development. The other exciting development is there you are, that fitted on, and I twisted it around a bit, and it's perfectly snug, sitting in there, perfectly happy. Yeah, exactly. If you leave it as unprotected, you will squish the cylinder, and your typeface will be hammered into nothing, because it's then basically metal on like hard rubber platen thing. So Russ says, I got replacement bell for the tractor feed. Oh, awesome. And now you feel justified in biting a whole box of 14 7/8 green bar paper. That's awesome. Yeah. Can you get new stock green bar paper? Because this, I'm staying with the old stock on this thing, because I'm going to do some like art prints for emojis at some point. Let's do some of that. make sure we're still working. There is a magical thing that I did here that has been on my mind for a long time, and I fixed it, and I'm going to show you the horrible way I fixed it. So let's see if I rearrange this a little bit. Let's do an emoji fish. Take its time. Take its time here. So, yay! Print a few blanks. Print a few blanks anyway. So here we are. $60 for a box of paper. That's a little ridiculous, but so worth it. And there's green paper with solid light green bars, and then there's the fine 5-line, 6-line stuff. And I remember the 6-line stuff most. And I used to have a little bit of it here, but I sold my deck line printer at GCS to somebody who's going to use it better than I will. So now my camera's not going the right place. Yeah, it's a fish. Hey, Retro Bear, welcome to the crew. Thanks for dropping in. We can print any emoji that anybody wants. This is a totally good use of time here. So I have a rant that I'm going to go on shortly, but let's do some fish, because you know, fish are great. And emojis are very awesome. What I want to do with these emojis is print them out, cut them up, and frame them in little 6-inch frames and hang them on the wall. And with the double print, you can now see it in progress, where you see like there's an E's and then X over the top of it, and just punctuation, and then it'll overprint that with something else. There we are. We've got an emoji fish. Is this really lined paper on Amazon's Sprocket feed? It is. That's amazing. That's really awesome. Yeah, I found paper for this thing on Staples website, and it's not bad. It doesn't have the vintage color to it. It's a little noticeably whiter, and it's like cheap. It feels cheap and teletypey, and the one end of it was super dusty. Got a box of standard-ish tractor paper for maybe right. It's hard to find though. Who's gonna sell this stuff? Okay, so did a fish work? Look at that! Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that lovely? I don't know if there is a shark, but there ought to be. This kind of looks like a shark. So the thing that I wanted to noodle on... Oh, there is a shark. Otherwise it would have come back and said there's no shark. Oh yeah, we can do any emojis, because it's it's just a little Python script that goes and fetches the emoji from GitHub, I think, wherever the SVG files of all the emojis are. The party hat and the blower. I've seen the party popper thing with the little screens up it. That's a good one. So yeah, I have been on this balance. Oh yes, look at that, it's a shark. I've been in this balanced world this week between bear, bear, bear. Oh yeah. And a cactus. Let's do some of those. I've been balancing in this world between like 60s, 70s stuff and the super modern world. And thinking of new and silly ways to mix them together. Because this is exactly 50 years old, having discovered the date stamp on the motor, which I'm super pleased about, because it says like December 1969. Emoji shark. Well, it's almost indistinguishable as a shark or as a submarine. Vintage vacuum tube. Yeah, I'm steering away from vacuum tubes. Some people I know are very into vacuum tube stereos, and I know what that feels like because I've been into like porn systems. And, oh look, it's a real shark tail. It's better. Oh yes. If you're going to have like vacuum tubes for audio, then you need speakers that fill the whole rest of the room. Which is not a bad thing, it's just like, you have to be prepared to go there. Okay, I think that's a decent shark. Trying to repair a 1954-ish GE black and white TV. Oh my goodness. Nice. And of course, you can't really like tune it into anything these days, can you? If you have TV, because the on the air thing is all so digital now. Look at that, it's a shark. I think that's a shark. Okay. Bear or cactus? You can get converter boxes or still coax off your cable box, or just make it an HDMI converter kit or something. Bear. Okay. Let's come back to the bear. I'm going to wait there, but I'm going to show you this other thing that I've been noodling on, just so you know where my head's at, because... so, alright, before I hit the return key, this thing here is it's one of 4 technical manuals. This is 273B, and there's they come kind of loose leaf ring bound, and this has been sitting around, so the rings are a little rusted and the paper is a little faded and so on. In here it's a cornucopia of amazement, because the diagrams are wonderful and they show the whole exploded like thing. This is all on BitSavers. You can go download a PDF where they've scanned. But the reason they're three ring binders is because they ship updates. Oh yeah, these are on the Google Noto color emoji. And of course it's not color, it's black and white. But, I had it going off of the Twitter Twimoji set, and I realized Google's Noto are just much nicer. So look at this. As a manual to actually like use, this is impossible, right? It has a nice little schematic of the electronics in the kit. Oh, this is the only piece of electronics in here. And it says, here's the current loop in. There's a little transistor and a big transistor, just amplifying the input current loop, and then the output is 0.5 amp to the selector magnet. And the board, so this is the only piece of electronics in the machine. It's an amplifier for the input. But here it tells you all how it works. So it says, selector magnet driver. Figure 8 illustrates a schematic diagram. and combined with an external power transformer, a resistor, and a filter capacitor, provides half an amp for driving the selector manual from a telegraph signal source of approximate input line current. It's like, yeah, you could actually. It's very long-winded, but it's beautiful. So I wondered what happened when you typed it in here. Because this thing is a new neural network. New-ish. It was released like 2 weeks ago. So it from OpenAI. And you may have seen me put a couple tweet pictures of this, but of the selector magnet driver. So what this thing does is it completes your text. It thinks about it for a little bit and writes more. And this is actually not writing anything. I wonder why. It's kind of stuck. Oh no. The driver, and it makes it up. And it actually makes it up in a really coherent way. So let's wait for that. I'm going to read Russ's thing. I was having a problem with only getting 24 lines per page on the deck OQP02 and getting a form feed unwanted with term equals DOM. Yeah. Oh, I'll dive back and show the term info here, but I haven't got the term info writing the way I want it either, so we'll compare notes. Let's come back on that one. So yeah, this neural network thing, you can give it any text and it will like complete it by making stuff up. And they've published the trained model, and there's 2 versions of it, and this is the big one, and it's 1.5 gigs of like whatever the models are made of. And it's so I saw this and I thought, like, oh, yeah, well, it's like, is the whole modern world going to come to an end? Because now, like, this is almost good enough that you could write this in school and get decent grades for it. It only writes a few paragraphs at once. It's not an endless unwinding model, but you can easily change the way it works to print endlessly. And you can also retrain it. Oops, I just picked up a little bug. So you can also retrain it to have, like, not just its own training set, but you can supply your own and retrain the model so that it uses your set as one of the layers of its learning. And this is a whole new area to me. I've been watching machine learning a little bit and experimenting with it occasionally at spare time and at work, and like, this changes the state of the art of what's possible with machine learning. And it's all about text, right? So unlike the Google, like, the little device that's powering this, the computer that's running this, which is mostly about image recognition, this is all about text. I think they trained it on all sorts. I mean, it's really crazy. You can give it something like this that sounds like a technical document, and it'll spit you out something that sounds like a patent. You can give it a prompt like, here's the recipe for X, and it'll spit out a realistic recipe. Here's my recipe for chocolate shortbread. Try it. So while the emoji bear is working, here's my recipe, and it actually, it's like, this is quite realistic until you start reading it. Mash a cup of chocolate with your fingers using a fork. Add the peanut butter. We used to have a cookery book at home that had this, like, style of, it would sometimes 3/4 of the way down like mention an ingredient that was never listed. QR codes. Oh yes. Oh yes. That would be kind of cool. I think QR codes could work actually. They've got to have like the registration squares, and I wonder how well they'll register. There's always a gap between the lines on those. You just can't avoid it. But it's like, will that gap confuse the registration? Yeah, absolutely. And then I could print like a URL or a message. That would work. That would work. So yeah, so with this OpenAI stuff, I latched onto that a little because it's text. And so what I want to do at some point in the future is put in like all of the text in here that describes all of the machinery in endless detail, including the reassembly instructions, and including maybe like, this is book one, this is the most readable one. The others are like, there's a lubrication manual that's like, they're endless. And train it on Teletype stuff. And have it spit out, like, let's build a little thing here where it's in the box, in the switch box, and that's a good bear. Good call on the bear, Retro Bear. Very nice. Yeah. Very good. What was the other one? Cactus. We'll maybe do a cactus. And then let's do some research about QR codes. So yeah, this OpenAI thing, I think I am going to spend a little time scanning the whole of or reading the PDFs of the Teletype manuals, and maybe reading some of the source material for this is like, I don't know. There's this one which is the OpenAI paper, and with some of their results, and it's like reading comprehension, effective. It's like this thing behaves as though it understands a little bit of the text. If you set it up so that you ask it to summarize or to answer questions, then it can behave like somebody who actually has some understanding of some of the words, and it's kind of crazy. So I tried running this. Oh yeah, that's the other thing of the piece of the equation. I got this thing in the mail, which is NVIDIA's little tiny GPU on a Raspberry Pi style thing, and because it's a little Linux box, it runs Ubuntu. But this is actually not big enough to run the machine learning model, the big one. It can run the little one just about, but every time I ran it, it barfed. It's like the killer came in, and yeah. Retro Bear, yes, the bear is lovely. So yeah, let me talk about this because it's here. This is NVIDIA's, it's like 4 cores of Cortex A57 or whatever that little Cortex is. So it's like a fast Raspberry Pi. The nice thing about it, it has lots of USB. The bad thing about it, it doesn't have built-in Wi-Fi. So you have to have your own. The other bad thing about it, compared with like the Google one that I'm running, let's put these side by side so you can see them. Yep. Something's beeping. There. Side by side. So it's the same kind of, it's actually slightly bigger. But the googly one, again, it's like a quad core, it's the same base processor, but it has this Google ASIC for machine learning that I've never figured out what to do with yet. But it's for image recognition based stuff, it's ideal. But anyway, Yeah. So I'm going to try actually running some small language models on here and connecting them to the Teletype. Or if I fail on this, I'll put them in the cloud somewhere. Oh, the other weird thing about this is it ships with, there's no console. So the Google one, there's a dedicated like boot console, which you can connect to here directly. This, there's not. So it assumes that you're going to plug in HDMI screen and a keyboard and a mouse, because it boots up to Ubuntu with a screen, which I think is a bit silly for a machine like that. It would be nicer to boost it headless. But anyway, just because I don't have screens around here. And then, the other thing about it is the power is a USB-C or a USB mini or something, micro. And then they say, if you're going to run demanding workloads, then put power in through a barrel jack. And you need it, like, you need to be able to give it 4 amps of 5 volts. And so you need to, like, buy a special power adapter that they don't ship with it, or, like, jack a thing onto the end of your own. And if you're going to use the barrel power, then there's also like a, you need to attach a jumper to select the power, otherwise it doesn't work, and that's not obvious from reading the little quick start. So it's got a few glitches, but I actually like it, in the sense that it's, yeah, I mean, if it was me, I would configure a Getty on one of these USBs, or give you RS-232 breakout, or a current loop. There was something great. But at least put a Getty on so that you can just plug in a terminal and log into the thing and deal with it headless. Yeah, the other thing I like about it is that it's just Ubuntu. And Ubuntu is nice and clean, and the minimal Ubuntu is kind of straightforward. Yeah, anyway, there's that. More toys than I know what to do with. I think we're gotta have a cactus. Let's see. So anyway, we're gonna do some actual work on this machine at some point. And I fixed the thing that was preventing me from doing real work, which was the editor. And if you've been tuning in for a while, you know that I've had real problems like getting my editor to behave. So I'm going to show you how I fixed that when we get a cactus. Meanwhile, I'm going to switch back to here. This is what I installed on that little... I put a copy of this on my Mac to retrain it. So this is basically taking the model for that text comprehension model, and you can give it your own retrain samples and just run it. But I don't have any results yet, so we'll see where that goes if I get results. If I get any useful results, then I don't know. I mean, it's very oriented around words, and it understands big-ish structure, medium-sized structure. So you can give it a prompt of a sentence or two, and it'll give you a page of something that makes no sense, and it's completely made up. It's like a bullshit machine. But it does have an internal coherence to it, despite having like nothing interesting to say. So it's all about words, and I don't think it would do very well with ASCII, but I'm interested in, like, words are the foundational thing for this ASCII machine, so we're going to do things with words. And my first thought was, this is going to be like a cactus. Not very detailed, not very spiky. Add lemon zest. How did that thing turn out? Mix and blend. Add lemon juice, lemon zest, vanilla extract, and cinnamon to the batter, and milk. Mix until and combine. It's like, this is, yeah. Bake it 2 to 3 minutes at 275 degrees. Do not bake for 12 minutes. It's like, it makes no sense. So I'm interested to see what it does with the Teletype manuals. If I give it some real technical documentation, then will it make sense of it? We'll see. Unfortunately, I don't think I can run it in real time on these little machines that I've got. I think it needs a real GPU. So I mean, this one that's on the web is running some cloud-based GPU, and you can actually get enough GPU for free these days that maybe I should put it all in the cloud. Yeah. I also think it's kind of funny that, like, GPUs, that's a nice cactus. I think, like, GPUs are basically like this, the connection machine all grown up. They're the same single instruction, multiple data, or whatever. Like, but this thing, this tiny little thing here, has 4 cores on the processor, on the CPU, and I think 128 cores on the GPU. It's like, it's got 130 something processors on this, and it costs $99. So I have to use it for something fun. I mean, even if it's like an art project that where's that thing? I want to have this and a little speech synthesizer so that it just talks to you, and have that be like an art project. Anyway, oh yeah, where was I? Real things here. Let's look at who's logged in, and you'll see what I'm doing to cheat. Actually, I'll show you the result as well. So there's 3 users. Well, 3 is kind of cheating, but yeah. Let's look up. All right, so I'm logged in from 10.1, 10.8. That's me with my little serial window, which you can see. I'm SSH'd into the machine. But then there's this new user called Teletype who's logged in from TTY ACM0, which is the serial port. And then there's ASR33 logged in from ::1, meaning localhost. And that's the one that's using W, and the other is using SSH. So this is slightly weird, but now my editor works. My editor finally worked, so I can actually do real work on the Teletype again. It's been broken ever since I got this machine, and I still don't know why. But all I discovered is that if you SSH back into the same machine, yeah, there is some extra nulls if I turn on the punch. Actually, let's release and pull, and I'm going to hit $, yep, number 4, release, and sure enough, I have more nulls than I need. I have, there's my symbol. Well, let's do 2 things at once and see. A, C, C. Yeah, I have lots of nulls. I have way too many nulls, like 3 of them, 4 of them. Yeah, but I don't mind. I mean, at some point I should fix it. It's probably in my Arduino thing. But finally I can use the editor, and I still don't know why it was busted. But I know now that if I connect directly over the serial port, then it's broken, and it does all this crazy repeating thing. And if I then SSH into the same machine, same user, but logged in over SSH, then it works just fine. So I can now do useful things. Like looking at my to-do list. And actually, like, editing. So I think on the print, when it's printing like this, there's no extra nulls. Like, the print is solid. It's printing at full speed. But the input stuff is got extra nulls in it. So, yeah, I don't mind. So I can get back to, like, yeah, maybe doing a print server. I think I'm going to pause on the print server thing. Because building a print server is, yeah, too much of a toy. I'd rather spend my time, because cups is just like, is there any way to get randomly punched paper tape? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, paper tape is much more fun than having this thing appear on the Wi-Fi. There's not enough users on the Wi-Fi here at the brickyard to really... Oh yeah. So now I can do York. And it actually works properly with... It still prints the header, but it works. You can actually use it. And so finally I can have this be a games machine interactively. I was curious about making something with punched paper tape. Yeah. So Retrobed, do you have a way to punch your own? Because I can punch some for you. And absolutely, there's all sorts of cool things that I think should be made. Should be made with punch tape. My score is 0. I'm going to show you some punch tape stuff. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, let's do it on here. So here in the patterns directory, there is I've got a, so I'll punch you some right now, and then you can like DM me your address or something, or go to my Etsy store and send me a note. There is some of this includes random sequences. Let's see if this one goes. Yeah, so this pattern language is just a little kind of document description language that I put together, and it's got a piece of Python code that runs it. And it has all sorts of like ways of creating random patterns and then punching them on tape. Oh, the file one didn't work. Yeah, there's all sorts of good stuff here. I was experimenting with like, what kind of random can you create, right? So, I think this is the syntax. We'll see. Yeah, this is the syntax. And so this is basically just let's print all of the characters. Like in order, right? But with the punch on. So what you get is a start, and then number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the bell rang at 7, then 8, 9, 10, etc. And it's the whole binary sequence. Put some more down, and it goes all the way. It goes all the way because it's 8-bit, so you end up with like FFFF at the end. So that's great. Great. This is my slightly more favorite binary sequence. I'm going to tune this in to the punch so you see it come out. Because the grey code is amazing. There it is. So let's see what this one looks like. So now it's starting and it prints. This is the grey sequence. It's like the binary sequence, but only one bit changes each time. And so it has a little bit more of a kind of an organic feel than the binary thing. But it covers all the same 256 character combination, which is kind of nice. And then, what else was I doing? I was doing fade and fade 1. And I think fade is the one that you want to see. Let's turn that on. So this is doing like random and then increasing in density and then decreasing in density until it gets to the end. And then the end. So I think this is actually like a really nice randomness. Because it starts light and it kind of gently gets itself in and then ends up super dense and then ends up super light again. So there you are. So there you go, Retro Bear. I've got some tape. The way the tape works is I roll it up. let me show you this. Where's my materials? Somewhere here I have a box of materials. I have a little cardboard box thing. I'm going to roll up the tape and put it in the box. And then what you do is you go to my Etsy store, and for $5 I will mail it to you, because $5 covers $2.93 in postage or whatever it is, and $1 for the box. So, so there you go. And yeah, I'll very happily mail you lots of random paper tape. Just send me a note saying how long a piece of paper tape with randomness on it you want. So anyway, yeah. So we fixed. I fixed with a horrible hack. Let me show you the horrible hack. So yeah, there's a. This is the tape I have with a imager URL on it. Yay! Oh, it has letters printed on it. Oh, that's really special. That's actual like ticker tape. Awesome. Yeah, it's not reperforated. It's printed. That's really awesome. Yeah, this doesn't print on the tape. It only perforates it. It only punches holes in it. And yeah, some of the other teletype machinery will, because it goes way back to telegraph. So yeah, I didn't think a 32. No, I don't think a 32 can print on the tape. A 32 is just like the telex version of this, the five level version of this. Yeah. Let me show you this horrible hack. /home/teletype/.probar. Oh, that didn't work. Yeah, so that's the whole. It's Chadless punched tape. Chadless, though, it's like, how do you read it mechanically to read the code on it if it's not perforated all the way through? I don't get it. Yes, yeah, weird. I only know what I read in the manual, in the technical manual 273B. And yeah, I mean, it's interesting that this has, like, there's so much history of telegraph stuff as well as the computer stuff, and in a way the computer stuff is like relatively new, even though it's 50 years old. Spring-loaded pins that punch through. If it's punched, well, of course, sure. It probably says exactly what the words say. It's probably like a newsprint. Released something north, something. Yeah, tour operator. Yeah, that's interesting. It would be interesting to see kind of what kind of a machine produced that. And it's probably one of these teletype early things. Look, here's a little box. Isn't that cute? And it's just big enough to put a little piece of paper tape in and close the lid and go thing. It's just the cutest thing. So yeah. I created this user called Teletype, set up the Getty to log in automatically to Teletype. So when I log out from here, then it comes back and logs out from the Teletype user as well. Then it automatically logs back in the Teletype user and runs their SSH, and I'm ASR33 again. I honestly want a paper tape punch and a reel-to-reel paper tape drive. Yeah. Get a high-speed one. some of the high-speed ones come up on eBay occasionally, and nobody wants them, so they're super cheap. And they can, yeah, exactly, facet. They can punch 10 times faster than this thing. This thing only punches at 10 characters a second. But you'll get one that does 100 or more. They'll stream out paper tape. And of course then you've got to go find yourself a source of paper tape, which is harder than it might seem. Yeah. So, what's next? What should we do next? Yeah. I don't want to do the printer stuff. Let's have a look at this thing. My to-do list. There's nothing on. Okay. Let's move the top of the to-do list to the end. And we will do this. There's a dork in Spanish with word wrap. Oh, my word wrap is all messed up. Yeah, let's go back. Russ, we had this term caps thing. I want to show you my version here because it's still messed up. And let's see what else is on the to-do list before I quit out the editor. I'm so pleased that I have an editor that works again. It's a horrible hack, and I haven't solved the problem. Oh yeah, I'm going to do these. These are like IRL. We'll do an actual workshop for ASCII art. And another one for plotter art. Yeah, those are workshops. But I have to schedule them in. Schedule them in real life. Yeah. So, is there a STTY thing that just says, show me how many columns I've got? I don't know. I don't want to do STTY-A because it'll print everything. No, I might as well. Yeah. That'll do. Nope. Yeah, so here we are. Rows 24, columns 80. That seems wrong. And my terminal is my custom terminal. And somewhere, I think in the firmware directory. Yeah, I have a term info file that I compiled with thick to have all of my, like, my character turn is over there. But my term info tells it column 72 very clearly. So if my term info says it's column 72, why does STTY think I have columns? But I don't think it is. I am now Teletype, but also if I do if I'm back here, oh no. Okay. Oh, I can't do -F because it's uppercase. Yeah. I don't think SSH is lying to it. I think actually it's just not working. Because it was doing the same thing before. Let me go edit this again. What? Oh. Wrong one. What? No. What I want to do is this. Okay. I love the ED editor. It's amazing. Oh no, I'm not. No, I don't want to do that. Sorry, cat hit the wrong profile. Anyway, now that I've commented out the dot profile of the Teletype user, I can log out and I'll log back in again eventually. I'll log back in again and I'll be just natively no mess, no shell dot profile anything. I'll just be logged in. Okay. I don't know what's in my profile. I think some secrets are in my profile, so I'm gonna hide it. Also, we just have to put up with this noise. Meanwhile, here's a bear. And that is nice. That shark is actually, I like that. There's nothing secret here yet. Set -O Emacs. It does. That shark definitely belongs in a frame on the wall. A very little frame. I mean, like a little 6-inch. Yeah, I think the bear belongs in a frame on the wall too. Oh, okay. No secrets in there. That's good. Anyway, yeah. I'm going to log out. Who am I? No. Let's log out. Okay. Okay. Grep -I call rows 24, columns 80. Right. There's no SSH involved. This is just a Getty on the terminal. And now I've got this horrible, like, repeat all the characters bug. Weird repeat all the characters stuff. Chartreuse in our Discord figured out what the tape said. Days after being released by North Korea, the tour operator. Wow. So yeah, Russ, you're going to have to stream your project and document it all about modding an electronic typewriter, electronic, to work as a teletype, and modding like something that's supposed to be an office printer, and yeah. So yeah, so why is my columns 80 and my rows? I don't want any rows. Don't have any rows. There's no such thing as rows. So I think I gotta go Google and experiment and like figure out why is it not really paying attention to my term info when my term info clearly says columns 72. So there's lots to do. There's this. This is going to be fun. I like the idea of this. You can't really see it. Let's move that down there. We could totally print that. We could totally print that on the teletype, just with like overstrikes. Just an X and an O would be enough. But let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 50 and 20 something characters wide. It's not super wide. The only thing I worry is like do the. Oh no, let's do it. Let's just like do it. So this has got XX, XXX, XX, space, 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 X, 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 space, space, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay. This is going to take a while, isn't it? Oh, I've lost count now. Da, 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 da. Is this right? That looks right. I think maybe the aspect ratio is a bit wrong. Is there any adjust the row width on the teletype? Oh yeah, like no, there isn't. It doesn't do micro. Oh, sorry, you can't even see what I'm doing. Here's what I'm doing. Let's keep going. No, it doesn't do like subline. This is going to be the slowest QR generator in the world. Wasn't there a guy making a Rouge clone to be used with Twitch chat? I don't know what Rouge is, actually. Somebody explain what Rouge... Oh no, I've made a mistake. Anyway, so this, I think the idea of doing QR, I think is feasible, but we may need to get the aspect ratio right because it's 4:3 aspect ratio. You get how many per inch? 10 characters an inch? Does that make sense? My little ruler. photograph it from an angle. Yes. Yes. That's right, 10 characters per inch, because it's 7.2 inches in 72 characters. But then vertically, it's only like 6.5 or something. Yeah. And I think, right, clearly from a distance it might work. And if not, then we could like do something like the big text, like just multiply it up, and it'll work. It'll work. I don't think I'm going to type it all on here though. So one of the nice parts of trying to use a printer as a teletype, it doesn't expect you to want to read the line as it's being typed, and so yes. Yes, at least this, I mean, there's this little notch on here where the screw that holds on the print head comes up from the bottom, and you can use it as like a sight to see. I can see that I'm below the 4 right now just by kind of lining it up. Yeah. All right, my short-term memory is posed because there was something else I was going to do that was something to do with your thing, Russ. And I could not tell you what it is. But there you go. My mind's a blank. Well, nothing's new there, but but still, it's like sometimes it's frustrating. I know what it was. It was not to do with your thing at all. I'm sorry. I have to measure the keycaps. And the reason I have to measure the keycaps is because on Twitter, Mike, whose surname I forget, came out with a thing where he, Mike Ross, tweeted this thing that was extraordinary, and it's here. And it really is a rare one. It's a IBM, I don't know if you can see this, it's an IBM 5028. And that's, in my mind, an extraordinary thing. It's an IBM branded, Western Union branded Teletype ASR33 with a few interesting things to it, like there's no on-off switch on the front the way that there is on mine here. Instead, there's buttons on the control unit thing. There's no on-off for the tape punch. Mine has on-off buttons for the tape punch, and this has buttons that are electric. So there's some relays going on. Let's scroll down to his next thing, because. So this is amazing. It's IBM branded, and IBM is not AT&T, and yeah, something actually says that. Now, he also has a ridiculous amount of of other material in here somewhere. It's ridiculous. Anyway, there's a good thread going there. But somewhere Mike has this thing where he tweeted the picture of the keycaps, and that's an interesting thing to look at because they're different. And then somebody else said, what are the dimensions of the keycaps? And I didn't actually know. So anyway, go back through Twitter and you'll find them. I can't find them now. Anyway, there's a nice picture of the keyboard. An interesting thing about this, the keyboard here, is you can see there's no key after this repeat key. On here, I have a key here. Let me switch back to mine. keyboard again. Zoom, zoom down there. On this side of the keyboard, there's a rub out key and a repeat key that is literally just it repeats, and then a break key, and the break key interrupts the circuit. It just interrupts the circuit. And on Mike's keyboard, there's nothing where the break key used to be, so you're not supposed to interrupt the circuit. It's like quite interesting. Anyway, teletype history. But the thing I want to do is actually measure these keys, because somebody asked. And I don't have like a nice vernier caliper kind of measuring thing. I just have a crappy ruler. So, to my best guess, these are exactly a ½ inch in diameter. And they're circular. So that's the answer. Let me go find on this. See if I can find the question. The question came from Lars Brinkhoff, and Lars says, oh, who has some some other wonderful pictures, which I should put up here because they're amazing. Here's a machine called KL-UDGE. Is that a real computer? It totally is. It totally is. Somebody actually shipped a machine called KL-UDGE. Love it. So somewhere in Lars's PDP thing, he asked me the question of how big are the keys, and I can't find his tweet to go reply to it. Yeah, I think the KL-UDGE was a PDP machine. Okay, here we are. Would you care to measure the size of the standard keys and etc.? So let's go reply. I was going to ask for the dimensions of the platen handle so I could print one, but I think it's going to get replaced on Monday. Yay! Yeah, the handle up here is about. Somebody has a model of it. I saw a 3D model of it because yeah, I think you can actually, yeah. And you have a 33 now? Did you? Yeah, somebody has a model. Okay. So, the standard keys are ½ an inch diameter, and the shift key is well, that's a half, a quarter, and a 16th. I think this is exactly 3/8 as far as I can tell. Sorry, 5/8. Swapping a 32 for a 33 on Monday. Woohoo! Shift and key control are 3/8. And the length of the spacebar is exactly 3 inches, maybe a little smidgen beneath it. It is 2 inches and 30 seconds. let's do this in millimeters because why not? To my best guess, it is 75 millimeters. And the distance between the keys. So the best way to measure the distance, I guess, is from left to left of a lot of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to the line feed is 7.5. Distance horizontally is 3/4 of an inch, because 10 of them fit in 7.5. And I think the interdistance it horizontally in both directions is 3/4 of an inch, and then the vertical rake the vertical rake is the, like, how am I going to actually measure this with any degree of accuracy other than just like rough guesswork? But guesswork is good enough. Huh. Well, it looks like 5/16, but then if I look at two of them, 2 rows, I can't even count in like imperial. This has to be imperial, but I can't count in the subdivisions anymore because they don't divide by 10. All these funny numbers, it's so strange. Alright, I think it's a 1/3 of an inch. No, it's a little more than that. 3 of them is 1 inch and 1/16. I do. I just need some calipers. I'm in a makerspace. Like, somebody has to have some calipers around here. And if everybody hadn't gone home already. I have a bunch of soldering irons. There's a bunch of electronics on the workbench. Let me show you. Over here, next to my little shop, there is a very basic electronics table with a screen that's under repair right now, and with lots of birds, and some very basic pieces of stuff. But most fun of all, lots of electronics toys for kids on the workbench, and a little printer, and a big printer, and a real printer, and another real printer, and another one. There's all sorts of like print stuff in this place. It's really quite fun. So when Mitch is around, we'll do some printing. But no digital projects to be seen. Oh well. Clunk, clunk. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. The cheap ones are great because if you leave the button cells, they'll be drained when you get out again. I wonder how well punch tape would behave under epoxy. I'm not sure what you mean. It should be just fine under epoxy. It's just paper. It is oil impregnated. So that's why it smells. But it's just paper. I have some Mylar stuff, which is I'm not going to use unless it's for like super special occasions, because it's going to ruin the punch. Yeah, sorry, the bandwidth here is a little limited, so let's try this measurement thing again, in metric this time. Nine, 18. I think that is 9 millimeters. I want to top a table with them like how people do penny tables and floors. Oh my goodness, yes. Yes, yes. It will behave absolutely perfectly with that. That will work so well. All right, 1, 2. 2 of them is, well, maybe it's exactly 1/3 of an inch. Maybe it's 1/3 of an inch. I think it actually is. It's 1/3 of an inch of vertical rake. So there we are. That's my little reply to Lars in the browser. There we are. So, okay. Yeah. This yellow against a dark background is superb. I have a tiny amount of black tape, and I've shown one of the people here earlier that I printed some off. I think I gave it to him. And the black tape with like hearts printed on it. You can't see what I'm printing here, can you? This. So that. This punched on black tape is like ridiculously goth. It's just beautifully like. Anyway, is the black tape also oiled? It is not. The black tape is fan fold because it's a digital special. It's not quite black; it's grey. And put some up here. It has a nice top and direction sign, so you can tell which way to put it. And it's fan fold, and it comes in a little box like this. And I have a box full of it. Because the deck, the standard deck punchers and readers didn't use a roll, they used a punch tape thing. Have you thought about making a picture with the punch tape itself, like using a few rows to make one photo? I have. Now, I haven't done it. I think there is a good I think it's a great idea. The reading technology is not optical, no. The reading technology is electric. Let me find this thing that I'm looking for. So Eric F., who is in Philly or somewhere, and has been doing amazing things with Teletype type machine. He has a terminal that's built by Olivetti and does amazing things on it, and has been doing a lot of fractals recently. And here we are. He's been doing like punch tape really like on another level. Here's his Olivetti machine. It's a pretty different beast than the hey you're here. Good to see you. Yes, I was looking for the thing. Here we are, the cube where you've got like 3 layers, because Retro Bear was asking about pictures with multiple rows. And the closest I've got to multiple rows is some of the Space Invader stuff, but I didn't actually turn them into anything. But that cube is awesome. It's like, it's really good. How did you do it, Eric? If you're on, did you do that on the IMSCII? Did you do it by hand? It doesn't look like you did it by hand. It looks too. Yeah, it's really awesome. Really, really awesome. Oh, that reminds me. There's a weird thing about the teletype that I was reading in the manual, because I was reading the manual, like the way you do. That on the left here we've got the punch tape. On the middle we've got the printer and so on. And then on this we've got the control control unit, the core control unit, and it's blank on this. It's really underneath there is just a power supply and nothing interesting. But on some teletype machines you have a dialer with a rotary dial coded by hand. Wow. Yeah, that's work. That's work. So I was reading the manual, and besides the rotary dial, they have a card dial unit for telex. So you could have a card. I don't know what these cards look like. If somebody finds a card dial thing, Microsoft Basic around it. Oh yeah. Oh, awesome. The basic ROM, the 4K basic. Eric is like way ahead of me in like creative punch taping. Yeah, so the idea of a card dialer is like, instead of just tape, punch a card, right? They've had punch cards forever, but punch a phone number on the card, and then have a little slot, and you put the card in the slot, and it reads it, and it dials. Like, what a great idea! Why don't we have business cards with punch dialer? Why doesn't everybody have like a card dialer? That should be a thing. Yeah, I want to find one of those for the teletype, because they did exist as an actual built-in like unit for the UCC area. That there was a card dialer. So I haven't Googled to see if I can find any real living examples. But yeah, anyway, they existed. Yes. Yes, to have a business card with data in holes. Oh, look, there's a there's an example. That's a dialer. So these things really exist. And then there was a teletype somewhere where you could actually like slot these things in and it would dial for you. Look, there's a real life example. This is such an awesome idea. Yeah, I don't know why these aren't like everywhere. Why is that not the way that everybody does business cards? Yeah. Anyhow. So yeah, I think I'm flagging here. I got to go get some food. this has been fun. I'm pleased with all the things we did today, including like the amazing shark. And if there's a teletype in an antique store near you, don't hesitate. Yeah, and there's plenty, like, especially the big old ones. Like the 33s don't come up too often, but the older ones do, because they're so heavy. There's lots of them around, and if you drop onto the Green Keys list and say, "Hey, does anybody have an old teletype they want to get rid of that's in my area?" An AP label, printer only. Yeah, that's not bad. Nice. And you can actually use it as a printer. So, okay, next time, I think what I'm going to do is train the GPT-2 AI text thing to, I'm going to train it on the teletype manuals and then have it generate teletype recipes. Oh yeah, can you flip up the little plastic bit on the tape reader? On the reader, of course. So there's nothing much to see, but you can see that there's four wires in there, and when you rotate this, then they do actually kind of lift. Oh, I'm sorry. I've got an underpowered PC that's running this, and not very good Wi-Fi. So yeah, these are electrified, but not to a high voltage, because otherwise I would feel it. But yeah, there is an electrical connection where these. Oh, $500 is way too much. No. Don't pay more than 100 for a. I don't know, unless it's in like nice quality with like AP labels on it and stuff. Because they're so heavy, they're really hard to sell. But yeah, that's really all it is. It is there is a power supply in the core control unit, and I don't know what voltage it is, but there's a power supply that runs it. But I haven't really figured it out, because the top is plastic, so where does the connection actually make? Does it like push through and then have a connection below? I don't know. I guess if I read the rest of the manual, I'd be able to find out. Because somewhere in here, it has the answer. Somewhere in my Bulletin 273B technical manual, or the 310B, which is the other one. The problem with these is, like, there's no search function, and the table of contents is great, but there we are. Tape reader, principles of operation, and then it doesn't have a page number because they're leaflet, they're loose leaf binders, and you're supposed to like add updated things as they go. But I think in here then it will have principles of operation for the reader. If I can only find it. This is still on the print unit. 33 typing unit. Disassembly and reassembly. Platen mechanism. Core control unit. See, I'm lost already, because, yeah. It goes from page 1 through to page 6. And, alright. The tape reader includes a tape sensing mechanism that converts holes in a tape to corresponding positions in a set of contact springs. And then the pins are sensing the hole, and the contact springs are under there. There's no picture in this particular piece of it. A feed magnet that supplies motion for it, and a power pack, and a cable, and a tape out and a tape tight mechanism, which is kind of fun. It'll stop the tape reader when it runs out of tape. And a frame, and a casting, and yeah. The multi-tape picture. The multi-tape picture, absolutely. I think it would be possible to convert just about any bitmap into punchtape, because that's more or less what I do with the text stuff. Is I grab a copy of I write the text to a bitmap. When I'm writing text to it like this. I write the text to a bitmap in memory, and then read out the bits just with some Python code. So it's actually straightforward. So if you had like a black and white bitmap, yeah. So RetroBear, if you want to like mail me or tweet me or something a small black and white bitmap that you want punched, then let's see if we can punch it next time. Because I should be able to do that. Like the code ought to be able to just read a bitmap. Anyway, worth a try. Worth a try. All right. Well, I'm going to stop now. I don't think I'll be able to like print it. Oh no! So this is 10 bits per inch. So, and it's 8 bits wide. So not more than 200 pixels square. Yeah, because otherwise it'll be enormous, like small. You need the zoom to get to see it. All right. Well, I'm going to run. Thanks for hanging out. This was really awesome. Exactly 9, including the sprocket holes. A random mixture of fun stuff. I had a lot of fun. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you next time. Maybe at the weekend. Maybe this time next week. We'll see. Hopefully the weekend, seeing how my schedule goes. Thanks, everybody. See you again. Cheers. Stop. There.